Hi there, and welcome to Rob's Quick and Dirty Woodworking Tips. This is a 2x4 that I pulled off of my scrap pile. I sliced its edge on my table saw so that it's all nice and even and it'll mesh well with the edge of the tri-square. And this is a piece of plywood that I cut to about the size of a 2x4. It doesn't actually need to be exactly the size of a 2x4, but it's helpful. And this is a circular saw. So the objective here is to make something that will identify exactly where the circular saw is going to cut so that you don't have to measure it and then carefully ride the circular saw down a pencil line. And in order to do that, I'm going to place this up against the edge of the blade, and then I'm going to glue this to the wood right where it meets against the edge guide. And then I'm just going to cut this to exactly the length of the distance of the blade. And I'll show you how that works once it's all glued together. So what I've done is I've clamped the 2x4 to the piece of plywood in a cross format. The distance from the blade to the edge of the guide is about 1 1/4 inches. So I made sure there was a little more than 1 1/4. That's about 1 1/2 inches to the edge of it. But more importantly, I made sure that the boards are perfectly square. And the reason for that is because you're going to use the jig in order to perform the square, so you don't have to draw a line with your square and then attempt to run your circular saw perfectly along that line. Alright, so now the glue is dry, and what we have is a little triangle. You could put a couple of screws in here to hold it together, as long as you don't break the glue. But the last necessary step we have to do is to slice off the extra, which is done simply by lining the guide up with the 2x4. Now what we have is a straight edge that will take the place of whatever straight edge you are normally using to draw your lines. We can take a piece of 2x4 and presume we want to cut it, for instance, right here. All we have to do is put this right at the edge of where it is. You'll want to use your thumbnails to line it up here so it's square. Clamp it to that, and then you can just run the saw across it and it'll cut it exactly that point.